so exciting. Oh my God. This is the first time I'm recording anything on my swivelly chair in my swivelly shiny new office. So I thought I'd get dressed up for the occasion. Charity shop find. I'm alright with that. Hello. Surprise, mother truckers. 2 videos in September because I just love you guys so much, and also because while I really want to get my office makeover video out, I also really wanted to do something on time this year for PCOS Awareness Month, which, if you don't know, is in September. The entire month dedicated to the suffering that all us sisters have to put up with. I thought, what better way to mark PCOS Awareness Month than to share with you a bunch of stuff that has happened to me over the years with PCOS that you may be unaware is because of your PCOS. These are not necessarily symptoms of the condition as much as they are ramifications of the condition, and you may be unaware of them, and I certainly was unaware of all of these until they started happening with me, and then whenever I would take medical advice, I would be told, yes, it's to do with your PCOS. So that's a fun time, every time. The first thing, which I mentioned last month in my face waxing video, is sciatica. If you didn't watch that video because it wasn't really your thing, because there was a little bit of, I don't know, grossness. It's not gross to me, but whatever. But if you didn't watch it because there was grossness, then let me just quickly catch you up. I waxed my face on camera. I put it on the internet for everyone to see. It was a good time. Everyone had fun. But one of the things that I have recently discovered with my PCOS is sciatica. Now, I have had sciatica before, including a period of time where I literally hurt my back pulling underwear on for the day at work and couldn't walk for the next 2 weeks of my life. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't stand up from the sofa. If I did get off the sofa, I literally had to stop, drop and roll like I was on fucking fire. It was a nightmare start to finish, right? And it was so goddamn painful. I ended up in the hospital in the emergency department because I literally couldn't straighten, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything without sobbing. It was so fucking painful. Worst pain I've ever experienced, and I used to do ballet and wore point shoes and all that kind of shit, and I've broken several toes over the years, right? And let me tell you, nothing that has ever happened to me in my life, physical or otherwise, has been as painful as that period of sciatica. Thankfully, it only lasted a couple of weeks, and then I recovered and it was fine. However, a few months ago, my sciatica came back and I was like, intriguing. Went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. I was actually getting to the point where it had gone on for so long that I was getting used to just being in constant pain, and I was doing everything I could to manage the pain. I'm not one for painkillers, so it took me a good couple of weeks of being in extreme pain before I caved and started taking a proper course of ibuprofen. I had the hot water bottles, I had the ice packs, I had the yoga for sciatica, I had the lying on the floor, I had a pillow on your back, a pillow between your knees whenever you sleep, the whole 9 yards. And I eventually cracked and went to a physiotherapist, and she was a lovely woman who told me that my sciatica was being caused by my PCOS. So what happens is, the extra dose of hormones that you get during your 28-day cycle for a normal, healthy reproductive system in someone with a uterus is that it gives you this dose that just loosens everything up in the pelvis a little bit. Just a little bit. It doesn't happen massively. However, when you are pregnant and go into labor, it happens a lot. And everything in the pelvis loosens up to make way for a baby. Turns out with PCOS, that can happen to you every month without fail. So it was like every single month. And bear in mind, I was in pain for weeks and weeks and weeks, right? I wasn't recovering from 1 month sciatica before the next lot of sciatica would kick in, because my hormones were like all over the fucking place, right? Oh my God, it was a nightmare. So what was happening was, it was just building and building and building. And everything, all the tendons and ligaments and nerves and everything in my pelvis were getting all fucky. And it was causing me severe pain that lasted for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of my life. And it was horrible. She took one look at me and was like, it's your PCOS. And I was like, God fucking damn it. It's always my PCOS. It is always my PCOS. So that's number 1, sciatica. If you have sciatica, I strongly suggest you go and speak to a physio or a chiropractor or an osteopath or someone like that who has experience of hormonal conditions like PCOS, and ask them what they think, because it may possibly be because you need to do something about your hormone levels in order to stop your pelvis getting all fucky and loosey-goosey. The second thing is common knowledge now, but at the time when I was diagnosed with PCOS, I had absolutely no bloody idea. But no one ever told me about insulin resistance. This is only something I've learned really recently, and it explains a lot. Insulin resistance is a symptom of PCOS, and it is that your body, because of the level of hormones and everything that your body is producing, your body cannot use insulin the way it usually would. The consequences of which: difficulty losing weight, which is important to maintain a healthy, balanced weight for PCOS to mitigate your other symptoms. Constant sweet cravings and constantly being hungry. There are times during my cycle where you could feed me any amount of food, like a massive, like a trough, and I will not be full. I will still be hungry. I'll be in the kitchen like, oh, I'm a little bit snacky. Oh, I'm a little bit snacky. Oh, I'm a little bit snacky. It's insulin resistance, my friends, and it's because your body is incapable of using the nutrients the food is giving you appropriately to tell you that you are no longer hungry and you no longer want something sweet. So instead, what ends up happening is you are constantly hungry and you constantly want something sweet. So every time I've fallen off the wagon, and I say that very loosely, what I'm trying to do at the moment is massively cut down on sugar. I used to have super sweet tooth. And you know those big bars of dairy milk? I would eat one of those every night. I mean, it's no wonder I gained weight very, very quickly. And I'm now covered in stretch marks at the start of lockdowns and pandemics and everything like that, because I literally was stuffing my face. Like, I was incapable of controlling the sweet cravings. Couldn't stop myself. My weight ballooned. And now I'm trying desperately to fight against my body to lose it again, because that was the biggest I'd ever been. I've only lost a tiny amount of weight. I'm not weighing myself. I'm not measuring myself. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going by how I feel and how I look when I look in the mirror at myself. And I've only lost a tiny amount of weight, but it is happening. For a few weeks, what I was doing was trying to avoid added sugar completely. It was really, really hard, and I fell off the wagon so many times and would end up binging an entire packet of chocolate digestives. I shit you not, like, this motion, absolutely impossible to control. Impossible to control. I would try so hard to completely cut out sugar, and then the next thing I would know, I am full to bursting, feeling sick with how much I've eaten, looking down at 2 empty packets of digestives. That's not good, right? Obviously. Obviously that's not good, Liv, you fucking idiot. That's not fucking healthy. So, I did some research on it, and I was like, well, hot diggity damn, insulin resistance, craving for sweet things, constant hunger, that's a thing, that happens to me constantly. So instead what I had to do was cut out sugar completely, fell off the wagon a dozen times, then I gave up on cutting out sugar completely and instead worked on cutting down, and that is significantly better. So now what happens is I have 1 teaspoon of sugar in my tea every time I make a cup of tea, but I'm also cutting back on tea because I drink decaf anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter if I'm not drinking tea, I can just drink water. I'm trying to drink more water and less tea. And then the other thing I'm doing is, instead of an entire bar of chocolate, I allow myself two rows of dark chocolate of an evening, or a few biscuits, or a little slice of cake, or, you know, whatever the treat is that I've got in the house. I do not, and I want to be very clear about this, I do not buy into the idea of allowing yourself a treat, right? If your body needs something in particular, listen to your body. That has always been what I've tried to prescribe to in my own head and my own relationship with food. It does not always work. I had slightly disordered eating as a child, and frankly, a lot of those habits stay with you and it's very difficult to break. However, the binging and then starving and then binging and then starving and then binging and then starving, thankfully I have managed to break. What I'm left with, though, is a lot of like weird survival instinct about food. Like, if there's something I like, I feel the need to eat it all because I don't know when it's available again, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm sure people who have been through a similar thing know what I mean, but you know what I mean. And then comes the guilt, right? Because there's always guilt. Anyway, this is a discussion for another video. Jesus fucking Christ, Liv. Needless to say, cut down on your sugar if you are constantly craving sweet things. Replace it with things like fruit or apple juice. Being really sweet and sugary actually really helped me. I know it's not super healthy, but you know what? If it fucking works, it fucking works. And try and cut back on your sugar as much as you can for a few weeks, and then see what happens to that craving, because I promise you it does drop. Because I now, like, that was just a few weeks ago that I could have polished off an entire big family bar of dairy milk, and now I couldn't do it. I definitely couldn't do it. Dan bought me a big Toblerone. I fucking love big Toblerones. Oh my god, they're delicious. And I still love Toblerone. I'm literally salivating at the thought of Toblerone. I still love Toblerone, don't get me wrong, but I can't eat a whole one now in one sitting, and I used to be able to. Number 3, not eating breakfast may have been making my PCOS worse. This is a very recent discovery for me, and one that has led me to start eating breakfast. And let me tell you, I'm almost 32. I've never been a breakfast person because, you know what, I'm not a morning person. So, like, getting up for school when I was a kid in the morning, I would feel so fucking sick watching everyone else eat breakfast, and it was disgusting. It was not a fun time for me. I'm now training myself to eat breakfast because there was a study done, and I will look it up and I will link it below if you want to have a look at the findings yourself. But there was a study done by a bunch of doctors that found that people who ate the majority of their daily calories at breakfast, and then smaller lunches and dinners and smaller snacks throughout the rest of the day, their testosterone level dropped by up to 50%. 50%! That's fucking massive. And I'm not being funny, right? But I could definitely stand to lose a little bit of testosterone, because the voice, the beard, the everything, the erratic periods, like, less testosterone would be really great for me right about now. They studied that specifically on people with uteruses, people with PCOS, and it was discovered that if you ate the majority of your calories for that day at breakfast and then had a smaller lunch and a smaller dinner, your testosterone level could drop by up to 50%. I'm fucking mind blown. I've never eaten breakfast in my whole fucking life, and I could be awake for hours and hours and hours before I even feel hungry. So now I'm having to, like, force myself into breakfast because I'm thinking, you know what? I could just do with less testosterone, frankly. So that's what I'm doing. I'm training myself to eat breakfast. So far, I only manage either a couple of slices of toast with something on it, either Marmite or jam, something that I really, really like, or a tiny little bowl of cereal with a fuck ton of sugar on it. That's the downside to the cereal. The sugar is the downside, but it's the only way I can get it down. because I sit there and I'm just like, oh God, I feel so sick. But I do it. I feel a little bit like I'm on that Super Size versus Super Skinny. Do you remember that show? That was a terrible show. My God. My God, it's no wonder we're all broken watching shit like that and then Big Brother. My God. Anyway, so needless to say, I'm training myself to eat breakfast. It's not going well. I feel sick pretty much all the time, and now I'm having lunch at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which means I'm having dinner at 8 o'clock at night, which means I'm not going to bed until 2 o'clock in the morning. Have a read of the study if you're at all interested in stuff like that. I thought it was really, really interesting that that could actually be a thing, and so it's something that I'm trying out, and obviously I have absolutely no way of measuring my own testosterone production, but if I suddenly become more feminine, I'm sure you guys will notice. Number 4 in my magical journey of PCOS is another fairly recent thing that's happened, and that is I have been really fortunate so far. I have never had massive mood swings, but bruh, a couple of months ago, I had the period from hell. It wasn't even so much the period. It was the days leading up to the period. I was completely out of control. There was no emotional control. There was absolutely no semblance of consistent hormone levels or mood levels or anything like that. I was a hot mess from the moment I woke up. In fact, no, I was about to say to the moment I went to bed, but it even carried on into my fucking dreams. While I was sleeping, I had some crazy upsetting dreams that had me waking up, bawling my eyes out. Now, don't get me wrong, right? I am a child of therapy. That sounds weird. I went to therapy. And I still would if I could. Honestly, I would. I miss my therapist every day. But anyway, I'm all for crying. I'm a big crier. Just the other day, day 1 of my period for this month, it was kicking my ass and I was like, do you know what? I just need a good cry. So I sat down and I watched Purple Hearts, and despite being staunchly anti-establishment and anti-military, I bawled my fucking eyes out. So I'm not against crying, don't get me wrong. What I am against is my hormones being so all over the place that I woke up crying. This was all in the space of 5 hours, right? So I woke up crying from a bad dream. Obviously had to be quiet. Dan was asleep next to me. The next thing I know, he rolls over in his sleep and like cuddles me to him. You know, like those videos of cats quietening their kittens. It was a bit like that. That set me off. I burst into tears again. Then about 15 minutes later, he rolled away. I burst into tears again because I was so upset that he moved away from me. Then when I got up, finally woke up properly, we were having a conversation, he said something, I got upset, then he hugged me because I was upset. That made me cry even more because I was so touched. Then the next thing I know, we're like crying laughing because suddenly everything is absolutely hilarious. Oh, and then from crying laughing, I suddenly morphed into the grumpiest bitch on the planet and was like obviously pretty scary because he just ignored me, like bless his heart, and he kept asking me like, I don't know what to do, like what do you need? And I'm like, I don't fucking know what I need. I had no emotional control. It's the most out of control I have ever felt. I don't know what happened. I honestly don't. There was obviously something really weird going on with my hormones. But of course, me being me, I did a bit of reading. Again, if I can find the same thing that I looked at, I will link everything that I've read online and from doctors and all that kind of stuff in the description below. So yeah, it turns out that extreme mood swings can also be a thing. That was the first time it had ever happened to me. It had never happened to me that badly before. I honestly felt like I was losing my mind. It was the most out of control and like desperately confused I think I had ever been, and it was all down to my fucking ovaries. So yeah, there we go. That is 4 things that might be happening to you because of your PCOS without you even being aware that that is what is happening. If you think any of this applies to you, I strongly suggest that you go and read the resources in the box below. All the testosterone study and everything like that is all going to be linked down there, as much stuff as I can find on what I've said. And obviously go and speak to a doctor who is, and I cannot stress this enough, experienced, okay? Listen, experienced with reproductive issues like PCOS. Those are all fun things that have happened in my body, and if any of them have happened to you, I would really love it if we could have a little chat about this in the comments. I will be checking the comments for like maybe an hour or so immediately after the video goes up, and then after that I will obviously periodically come back and check up on all of you guys and the conversation you're having. So if you enjoyed this video and would like more videos like it, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Hit that ring bell button to be notified every time I upload a new video, which is the first Sunday of every month at 12 p.m. GMT. And I will see you guys in the next video. Good day, sir. No. A goodbye. There we go.